Try this again. We back. And I got the mic on too. I took me a nice little solo walk real quick, and I was listening to Shalakimi, and she was dropping some real jewels. She was like, "Some of y'all got a message. You know, y'all got the power, and people need to see that my smile. I need to hear that message still." And Devon was like turning me around, was like, "Go back and drop that message. You got work to do." And I'm like, "You right, you right." And when she was saying that, it was like confirmation. Shout out to Shalakimia. Um, She live right now too. Go jump on her live. Say what's up. Tell her Naga sent you. Um, yeah. So there we go. Now I'm trying to delete the old one off real quick. All right. So had a good analogy that I started sharing before I realized that my mic wasn't on when I started a few minutes ago. So here I am doing the repeat. So you gotta think about it like this: when you start off your stories and you telling the pain you go through, you telling your experiences, it's like taking a flight. You know what I'm saying? So you start out by explaining how you are not a part of whatever. You start going into story and what people did to you, and you like, nah, let me just tell you. And as you doing these pauses and you preparing yourself, it's like a build up, right? So as you coming in, you getting your boarding ticket. You know what I'm saying? And you in line. And now you in line, you know what I'm saying? You getting the suspense ready, you telling people about what happened, you starting to put different characters in the placement, but you also leaving yourself out of the situation every time you speak because you want the story to entail that you got damaged. Ultimately, with this particular understanding, you're building yourself up. You don't notice how even when you get to the next part of the story, you start saying things, i.e., as if like it's weird, man, because I have to reenact the value of what I noticed when I'm actually conversating with different people. You know what I'm saying? Because I was having a consultation with someone, and they was explaining to me, and I was like, look how you doing this." You know what I'm saying? Like I'm used to seeing this happen because people in my family did it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't separate the value opposed to blaming someone for a circumstance. And when you develop these stories, you are ultimately getting ready to time travel. Like you're setting yourself up. Now you're getting on the plane because you gotta, you know what I'm saying, you amping yourself. You're like, nah, listen, let me tell you what happened. Like you start really getting into it. You start to literally amp yourself up again to a value of something that is past and experience. Reliving about 75% of that energy which you have stored inside of yourself. Not the whole experience, because all the attributes aren't there, just the actual feeling. So you're telling this story. So what's the point of the connection? Most people say you have to speak out your problems. You have to release it. Well, when you release it, you put it on the surface. You always relive it. Now, when you're the universe on the inside of yourself, when you find out how to go within to deal with a particular problem, it dissipates. That's something completely different. They don't teach that because they don't want you to think that way. They want these problems to manifest and sit on the outside of you all the time because they're medicines that don't work, that they will tell you will, and they'll make you feel a whole bunch of different ways. And by the time you look up, 20 years of your life is gone. And you've given it to the stress, you've given it to the pain, you've given it to the anxiety, and to the concept of whatever situation has developed out of that. You've almost put a cap on your own life, lack thereof, of still wanting benediction from the trauma that you might have went through. And that's not saying that you're not granted that. You're not granted. It's not to say you're not granted the justice. But deep down inside of you, when you have already made up your mind to make so much of a ruckus, it's almost like it really doesn't matter at that point. You see what I'm saying? Hold on a minute. So so ultimately you're grabbing these situations and you are making them liable by your banshee. Your banshee is the outpour, the out scream. So the longer the banshee screams, she becomes what she's screaming about. You know what I'm saying? She becomes this type of tyrant that uses her voice as the retrospective damage. To allow things to take place, you have to let them go and let them circumvent their own energy. Energy that's given out, it has to be able to come back. Children don't know this. This is why they need protection. So most of the trauma happens to children, and ultimately because you don't get the salvation that you need because of a particular circumstance, what happens is you grow up into a banshee. You grow up into a person that's constantly yelling out and bringing damage to people. You're constantly screaming and you're bringing damage. You're going to manifest the value of manipulation because this is what happened to you. Healing yourself is not particularly a value of waiting for someone else to get their karma. Healing yourself is making sure you're able to be in the right energy so others will get their karma. And ultimately, these traumas are knocking chunks off people. They're taking pieces of your life. They're changing attributes about you to where you don't pay that much attention to these things that are changing in you. So ultimately, you lose so much of yourself, you forget everything about you. And then at that point, you're so what they like to call surly that everybody else is the problem. These things can happen to you as well if you want them to. That's if you constantly relive the pain that you go through. I'm not saying that you're not supposed to think on it. I'm saying you're not supposed to reenact it. Think about it. You're supposed to think about it and look at all the pieces of the actual memory. Get the assessment right first before you judge. Because majority of the time when you look at from the start of your day to the end of that circumstance, you normally see that before it even got anywhere close to it, energy was building up to pull you towards that. And divine is simple. Ultimately, all you had to do was sit still. I've gotten out of more situations in my life just being still, saying, nah, I don't want to go. And it wasn't subsequently the value of what was taking place. It was the fact that what was taking place was outside of a comfort zone or outside of a particular value. When you are exposed, you have the ratio of percentage. So if I'm going to go do something, I have to carry myself in a particular way. This is me knowing the consequences and repercussions to every situation. I'm not going to go with knuckleheads I know from the hood to a ball. They're going to act dumb. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go to uh, a street fight, you know what I'm saying, with people who ain't about that type of energy, who's like gore crunching, like they you ain't ready for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna go to a workout gym with people who don't like to work out. You know what I'm saying? So these concepts of reality, you don't get a chance to learn this when you're a kid. You just things just happen. And they might happen from your family, they may happen from your close family, they might happen from friends, school, stuff of that matter. The circumstances that you hold on to, they're only very important because they're very important to you. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm saying you hold that value to that more important than anything. So understanding peace, Queen. So understanding that letting go, not because of the situation at hand, but for your well-being, and that allows the residual energy to to reflect and go in its own particular direction, right? So what's the actual case? The case is how you feel about your life expectancy. These are traumas you went through. Yes, they are, and they are very important. This is why you're holding a whole manual. Most people who go through a lot of traumas and they stack up a lot, it becomes a whole life-size book. So then their main conversation in life is a particular trauma that they went through. Their main action of morality had to do with the trauma that they went through. Their choice of entertainment, their choice of clothing, outlook on life has starts to have everything to do with the trauma that they went through. This is why you want to put these things down. Your heart is important and it pumps a level of blood, and it has to pump in a certain circadian rhythm. It gives you this almost like a metronome value, you know what I'm saying? But the waves that comes off of the heart is pulsating life. When it pulses, when it gives pumps the blood, it's also giving a residual energy of life. When you sour your heart by not overcoming the value of certain particular things that you had to deal with, what happens is your heart hurts. Your heart becomes heavy because you're pumping the blood not to sustain the value of happiness, life energy. See, life has everything to do with spring motion, forward motion. When you hold on to these particular experiences that happen in past times, you're telling life that you want to be stagnant because you are holding the memories are heavy. They're heavy. That's why in the concepts of passing, they weigh your heart against a feather because your heart should be that after it removes that value as far as this concept of residual energy releasing. It should say, I've been pumping this life energy to all the way and I was happy. Even when I felt I was triggering, I still kept it going. You know what I'm saying? Life ain't always peaches and cream, you know? And this is what some of us are forced to realize, you know what I'm saying? Ultimately, not through our own detriment, through the hands of others, other mistakes. But your power as well, it dwells in the fact if you're not holding on to nobody or nothing that wants to bring you damage in its highest retrospect. They will go and they will manipulate and twist your name and make you look a certain way because they feel they have deemably the aspect to stand over you. Nobody can stand over anyone, not even the people you come from. They can't stand over you. They have to respect the fact of your life. That's why what comes from you should be before you because you're on your way out and they're on their way up. So this is why that respect level plays a part. But we can't be vulnerable enough with ourselves to tell the truth of the value, the truth of the value. You can't be vulnerable enough with yourself. It's like, no, I'm a victim. You're never a victim. Everyone on this planet, you know what's crazy? I remember in a certain time where I heard within a short, it was like 5 month period of time, the people that I ran across and people that I met, I experienced over 100, like hundreds of thousands of people saying the exact same story. It was weird to me. I'm like, yo, every chick you met, they got raped. Every dude you met, he ain't had no family. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, this is a large area. This is a large area of the same exact like implication. Like it's like downloaded. I remember when I was coming up and it was the early 80s and I would hear older women sit in the kitchen with my mom and had these stories and they would do the same thing. I would hear men laugh and joke and had these stories about the same thing. As I got older, I'm hanging with some friends of mine and we young. We probably like 10, 11 at the time. We all sitting around by the basketball court in the back, started talking about our pops and started crying. It's like six of us, seven of us, and all of us didn't have no father. Some of them was like brothers, you know what I'm saying? Because we all, it was like two sets of brothers that hung with us and like three other dudes. So it was like probably like eight of us, seven of us or whatever at all times when we was younger. And some of them, like my older brother was too old to hang with us because, you know what I'm saying, he was 4 years older. So it would be like a nigga my age and his younger brothers would be like a year younger, too, like that. So that was our little crew. All of us sitting around crying, talking about our dads ain't here. We don't know where our dad's at. I knew back then that this was a replicate process. I was like, wow, why the stories stay the same? You know what I'm saying? So you'll drift into the emotional concept, but you don't have to stay there. Like me personally, I want like negative energy is thick. It makes I don't know if you still got the original connection to feeling bad, like when your throat got that knot in it. I still get those feelings like a kid, like depending on the emotional energy. You know what I'm saying? I still get those feelings and I push away from them because I know that feeling is going to sit on me and then it's going to leave a memory on top of a residual energy that I'm going to have to circumvent again, meaning I'm going to have to come back to it again. So the more karma meaning memories that we pick up without being able to assert these memories or experiences as just such experiences, they particularly become videotapes that we replay movies in our minds, and ultimately the outlook on the world, i.e., social media, how we perceive things. It starts to play as a motion as such in one's mind. So now that thought can become something you can bring tangible to a scene, which now it becomes not just something you carry on your flesh, but you've made it a documentation. Now it's all over the world or accessible to. You can never outrun that at that point. You'll be 60 years old and your grandkids will see that and be like, "You remember that? What happened?" And they're so intrigued because you left it this way that in that fact, you are reliving and thumbtacking the emotional concept that you could not conquer in your day of understanding, thus passing that energy onto your family. This is karmatic detriment. And we don't see these values as taking place. I'm only speaking to the time of existence now. I can show you this same retrospect back in the day. You know, all the old heads had pictures. They had pictures and stories. They opened up them big photo albums and they start, "Oh, I remember this. Let me tell you about so and this nigga this and this nigga that." Would put the badge on. It merged from the 80s to the 90s with Ricky Lake and Montel Jordan. Y'all know the smoke. And we sat there and threw these pieces around like it was entertainment. And this goes back to the other live that I was talking about the other day when I was saying our lives as the pain that we went through as a culture became the entertainment from people for people and the outlook of how things should be. It wasn't to say that, oh, let's look into the lives and see how bad they're living. No, we saw they were happy even with nothing. So let's take that and make a model. And that's what they did. They took us at our bottom through the 70s, through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, into the 90s. They took that model and they started recreating that value as a living. Now, most people live in a different time frame and don't even know it. It's because they know how to replicate the same energy of pain. The greatest level of TV right now was reality TV. You remember Real World? When people would live together in a house and fight and have sex and all this other crazy stuff, and then Jersey Shore, and then Love and Hip Hop, and it just kept going. They gave you YouTube. Come on, you got celebrities right now growing weed, talking about come watch me grow weed. A whole movie star, 30, 40, 50, 60 years in, growing weed. You a billionaire. You growing weed? No, you're not growing weed. You know what you're doing? You showing TV in reality. It's the new form. So now, because it can mesh with any form of reality, anybody can be a star. Tell your pain. Exploit yourself. You don't have to say somebody else is exploiting you. Go out there and tell your deepest, darkest secrets. It's places for that because those deepest, darkest secrets will be recreated as another value to hold the next people that's coming up 20 years from now at bay. And this right here is what's going to allow them to do this. This is what's going to allow them to do this. The way we were able to hold on to a memory so tight and don't let it go. So from the old time of doing it to merging into a time of telephones and cell phones and now into social media, it's like something's walking beside you, helping you stay in this motion. It is imperative to drop these emotions. It's imperative not to hold on to things. It's more than detriment, and it's more than just you the reason why you should drop them. It's because of our pains are being replicated as cages. And you don't even see it. You enjoy tearing down yourself and condemning your others. I had to go through this same function in my head because best believe I got stories to tell. But it's not about what I say. It's about how well I dealt with it. And that's an image I got to stand on as a representation. What type of superhero are you? It's not to the world around you. It's to your life and how well you became the greatest root that came from the source of the tree and dug down and got that water. How'd you get to the water, baby? Did you get to the water? Every horse is led to the water, but they don't drink it unless they really thirsty. And majority of the time, that thirst comes at the aspect of happenstance. Like, I ain't got no choice but to go that way now. That's because, some people just like what my nana used to say, be a glutton for punishment. You know what I mean? So the reality is, it's not about what you go through. Everybody go through stuff. We all go through stuff, yo. We all went through a lot of heinous ish. Like, for real, for real. You know what I mean? But what you do with it? How well did you transmute that into a lesson? Food. How well did you make that light? That's who our ancestors was. Throw you scraps of wood and see how long you stay warm. Throw you some scraps of wood and see how long you stay warm. I throw you the scraps of the animal and see if you can feed yourself. I give you the smallest places to stay, see if you can make a home. I give you nothing and see if you can get paid. I take everything away from you and see what you do then, and you make a new way. That's who we are. Don't let TV and motion picture your emotions. Don't let TV and motion picture your emotions. You're stronger than that. And it's not about a dollar. It's not about a come up. It's about your sanity. It's about your mentality. It's about your mental health. Yes, I see Orlando Brown, but he's an example. Up and down, up and down. Look at these celebrities that are of our nationality. Most of them are lost their damn mind. You see them how they talking up here and how they moving around. At the end of the day, if your great grandparents was around, or even the old stars, they look at them like they effing crazy. How they carry themselves in particular energies. And that's just residual energy from trauma, from people not solving how to handle the things that happen to them, so they act out in particular ways. And when you go so far away from your source and these traumas are happening to you around other people who don't have your best interest in hand, and then you end up living there, these traumas manifest as something else in you. Forget the failure. It manifests as something completely in you. It goes past the fear. It goes past the Stockholm syndrome. You start believing. You start believing more than you believe in anything else with that pain. Just to stay in line. It get real ill, yo. It get real ill. Traumas are a very divisive thing, and they can be manipulated to control. This is why it's so important for you to let this stuff go. They're like remote control cars. As soon as you touch a trauma from wherever you at, they come back to control you. Think about what I'm saying. You could pop up on the street somewhere and have problems with somebody and see that person down the block. Automatically, you in it. You in it. This is a reality, and that's because we cannot let go. We can't let go. And ain't nobody just gonna show you that how far or what the depths of this really look like or what it means for you. You are more than precious. You are more than precious. You are more than important. You are more than important because of your capability and what you need to do with the capabilities that you have. Sometimes you gotta shred old emotions, just like you had a business and they shredding the last year taxes and all that. You gotta shred old emotions. You gotta take them up out of you. They got to go. They got to go. You gotta take them up out of you, shred them real quick. You know what I'm saying? And get ready for that anew. And that's all you really got at the end of the day. But this is basis on loving yourself. Gotta love you. And you gotta do this for you because there's so many other things that are attached to it that wants to hold you and take you away from your best parts of what you are. You are so wonderful, and the traumas are not true. I don't care what you went through. Put them down. These traumas are molding everything about you. They're molding your outlook, your dress, your think, your eat, your choices. You're walking away from who you are. You're going to have to heal that baby inside you just so you can know what's really good for you and what you like. That baby inside you waiting for you to come back. Whoever he or she is, deep down inside of you, sitting back like, yo, what's up, yo? I don't even like all that. And you know that, but you like, shh, it's whatever, I'm grown. What is grown? If you are grown, then you can flower and bud. You ain't grown when you carrying trauma. That don't flower and bud nothing. And that's a fact. Trauma brings nothing but stagnant waters and more pain in situations that crack the light around the thing. It destroys. You want to carry that everywhere you go, and you think you grown. See, nobody speaks on the real terminology of what man means. Man means mind. Whether that's woo man or just man, it means mind, the capability. What sits upon your shoulders as a pedestal? Your head. So why can't you think? It ain't like my hands don't do more activity and seemingly motion than my head does. My hands touch everything, right? They always moving. So I don't got a arm on my neck to do everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it wouldn't be a point. It needs a guide. So this is the most important thing about the human body. That's why it sits above the shoulders. So you have to be able to think. You have to say, I know these things happen to me, but I'm not giving you the power to think you did something to me. I know I allow myself to be in certain situations, but I ain't giving you the power to think you run me. I know things happened to me when I was a child, but I ain't no child no more. You got to stand for yourself and you got to find out what those laws is for you. And this is not going off tilt. This not going too left. It's not going to I'm just straight crazy and gangster. Nah, this ain't got nothing to do with that. This is fighting for yourself, respectably. Man, I or their woman. This is fighting for you, your existence. The first rule of life between each and every person should be I respect the divine light in you that gave you life, period. The reason why you can stand, breathe, think, and look at me at this moment. Without the divine spark, you ain't nothing but a pile of meat. So let's keep it 100. It's nothing more important than that. And it's first fact. And it's first fact. That's the importance. Respect. Respect. To everyone I come across, first and foremost. I gotta be in the right mentality to even deliver that energy. I can't be holding on to what happened yesterday. That ain't gonna let me do nothing but have bags under my eyes, okay? Stress in my stomach. We not even about to do that. Not about to do that. I don't hold on to nothing negative. For what? You did that. I didn't do that. I didn't implement that energy. That didn't come from my spirit. I didn't sit down and see some negative things happen without your recognizance, like you do something by accident. Other negative things happen because you are in complete control of what you be doing. So you planned it out. That's a spiritual attack. Period. You knew what you was doing, and that spiritual attack ain't on nobody else. It's on yourself. That is your karma. You dug deep for that. It gets even heavier when you do it to your family. So ultimately, if you remain in the right energy, when you go through that negative on the other side, it's positive because your energy is matching that. Two positives is upwards, two negatives is sinking down. So let people do what they do. You got to separate yourself from these particular values. Sometimes a rose grows up in the wrong field. Sometimes a rose is planted in the wrong field. And you just got to be that damn beautiful for somebody to say, let me move that. You got to stand out sometimes and be yourself so much to where it's just time for you to go. Be planted somewhere else. Don't worry about what the onion's talking about. That's why the onions. They're always going to make you cry when you cut into that bull crap. And all onions ain't grass. You dig? So it's all good, man. This is about understanding one thing. And if I can know that there's always going to be a particular difference, I don't have to hold on to no particular value. If I'm not implementing negative energy, I know I have to accept it. They will have to manipulate the value on why they did the negative thing to you. I don't have a conversation. That's you. You got to deal with that. But if you hit me, I'm going to let you know you hit me. If you disrespect me, I'm gonna check the fact that you disrespect me. If you do me wrong, I'm gonna check the fact that you do me wrong. How I implement the next motion, that's all up to me at that point. You've already chosen to be who you are as that particular individual. You can never take back what you've done. Me holding on to that is something different though. No, you have categorized your individual self. This is why I said in my last vibe, I was like, yo, it's not about what happened to you. It's not about saying this is what they did to me. It's about saying this is what this is how far they're willing to go to do this to you. This is how much energy they're willing to put into hurting you. Yes, you're hurt. Yes, you're hurt. Yes, it was wrong. No, the motherfuckers ain't shit. Get away from it. Leave it alone. Put it down. It's the wrong animals to play with. And some people who are mixed in that by accidents or happenstance, that's just what they like to call what the lawyer lady said to me that day. She said, I can't remember, but it was like the breakdown of saying things just happen. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do nothing for sure. I'm like, what? That don't even make sense. But I guess it's a logical way of looking at particular things. What I'm saying is, given these pains that I went through or anybody else went through story as a ID or a badge to say what happened in my life, that's nothing to me. That don't mean anything. I'd rather tell you something great. And if you can't accept my energy on happy terms, that doesn't speak to me. That speaks to your spirit. So yes, trying to be in divine energy or righteous is lonely. It's very lonely because you really have to fight from all angles to keep yourself in a particular type of energy. And that's okay. That's not to set judgment on whatever is not in that particular energy. It's not for that. It's to let that be and you recognize and download that as recognition. And then you act upon that value because once you know what has taken place, you have the power to allow that to happen once again. That's up to you. You can even be requested to play in some of these values again, depending on the connection level. With this comes strength. We're going to always repeat certain values. You're strengthening, though. Divine don't set a motion to you that don't know if you can lift it or not. You can lift it. Just like you can lift those things that happen to you right off of you. Take them off of you and put them down. You can make whatever process you need for forgetting. But it's you that hold on to things. It's you that does that. And you teach that same process by you outputting these particular energies. You have to be mindful of the image that you carry as an individual. What do you promote? The salvation is always going to be in oneself, the action. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about propagating all the negative things I went through and tell everybody because I am the only one who ever suffered on this planet. You're selfish and you're confused and you're delusional and you're a narcissist and you need help. When you start seeing these things in that particular way, you will realize that the negative energy will make you into someone else. It will make you be something else. Your failures will make you something else. You have to look at everything you do as something good, whether it wins or not, because there's lessons in it. There's something to take from it. Your own self, you can learn from you every day. How much are you paying attention? And a lot of people don't want to do this because you know why? It takes self-awareness to walk through these doors. And you have to look at everything you are as an individual. And you know what people ain't gonna do? Check themselves. Because you can hide a lie. And you can make a lie become a truth. As long as it serves the purpose, right? Don't let negative energy change your character in somebody that you really don't want to be. Don't let negative energy change you into something that your childhood self would have said, no, no, no. That's a bad thing. But sometimes it's too late, right? You are more than important. You are more than special than the things you went through. You have all the attention in the universe right now focusing on you, and that's your higher self. It has created a bubble around you that you can choose from to create whatever you want to make yourself feel good. And when you're ready to put those things down and just be you, it's right there for you. It's like a new light, a new day. Go back to that kid. And how you go back to that kid, remember 3, 4, 5, a memory, a day, a toy, a conversation, an event, something that happened when you was that age, and carry on. Remember other little motions from that time when you might have woke up and grabbed a toy or watched cartoons or had breakfast or whatever. Any little thing to where you remember how you felt. Go to it. Run to it fast because your original self is sitting there. Those moments and times of your life when you were genuinely happy as a child is a pure energy. They're untouched by circumstance. Go to those times. Your original concept and mind of thinking is sitting right in that moment. Go to that time. Embrace that little kid. They know who you are because at that moment, they're at their height. They're at their height of thinking. So now you've came so far in the future. They see you. They're at clarity at that point in their lives. So now back then, that's gone. They are strengthened because I've lived this far. You've lived this far. You can go back to that and connect the two thoughts. Hug yourself, love yourself, apologize to you for leaving you behind. You'll know when you do it right because it'll hurt. It'll hurt good. You'll cry like a well. It'll come from deep inside. It'll be something new to you. Like, I didn't know that can happen. It's almost like saying, and this is for the adults, it's almost like saying having 3 different versions of a nut. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's an emotional cry that doesn't happen just from boo-hooing or having your heart broke or having somebody pass away. This is different. It's different. And you know it because it comes from a hollow space. You don't feel hollow on your inside, but this is a space that exists. And when you get there and you release that energy, it feels like a space. But then that space starts to fill. You'll know. You'll know. That's all I can tell you. But you'll know. You have to do this work with yourself. You have to put this work in. You're too important not to. You have children and you have a destiny to change every mistake, all the effery that your people went through. You can't bring that with you. None of that. They went through other stuff. Time has tripled. The agenda has tripled since then. It's not a 20-year change of circumstances. It's not a 30-year change. People live 30, 40 years and everything the same. No, things is changing every 5 years. Completely. Every 2 years, 3 years, completely is gone. Your integrity is what's going to hold you down. Your integrity is what's going to keep you able to raise yours correctly. Your integrity, your fight for you is what's going to make sure yours go through the darkness and make it to where they got to go. Or you going to make excuses and say, I ain't got nothing to do with that. Well, that's probably how you got there with them in the first place. You don't have sex, you get fucked. Excuse my language. In all circumstances. You're not involved. You don't have no involvement. It's not you. You didn't do anything. You just there. Really? All right. Well, you can keep living that illusion and then go out to Ricky Lake and Montel Jordan and whoever else got a talk show or space for you to say how sad you feel about what never happened for you or what you can't pull by adjusting the equivalent values in your life to make things be that way. This is the job. Your job is to manifest and hold on to the gift that's given. You had no clue that the world was going to flip upside down. You was given a divine spark and an option to grow it with whatever you think possible in that positive range of affliction. If it turned the other way, things started going opposite because you know why? You didn't come from that opposite energy, but you adapted to it. And because you adapted to it in the new world around you that was being created on a positive field, a negative world on a positive field, it created yin yang, which gave you the box to be trapped in. So now, because you adapt to the world, you want to be that, you're an idiot. It's still divine energy, and nothing that's not created by divine can stay. It deteriorates. That's why when the end of things come, you see scrambling. You don't see scrambling and manipulation because it's a strong foundation. You see that because they know the main thing they use to hold on too tight is disintegrating. And there's nothing that they can do to get that back, especially at the time frames. So you holding on to something that's not as tangible is only pulling you down with it. It did me wrong, it did me wrong, it did me wrong, it did me wrong, it did me wrong. Man, let that ish go. Let it go. For what? Yeah, it happened. So what? You tough. You a thief. You a liar. So what? That's your choice. They ain't mine. I don't gotta be like you. You a molester. You a rapist. You a murderer. You are this. You are that. Whatever those things are for whatever the circumstance that may be. Those are the choices of these individuals who choose to play those roles in that particular moment. For you to attach to it, for you to set motion to it. Yeah, it happened to you. Let it go. I know it hurt. I know it do. But you will heal. You will heal. You will heal. And you will show everything that you created how to do so. The most powerful thing in this world is having wealth and health. And that comes from your mentality and you understanding how to do that. You are wealthy because of your health. You are wealthy because of your mentality. It's not about the adversities that you go through. It's how well you filter the adversities through yourself and can teach that to someone else. Yes, I can show you how to live, but can you show someone how to die? Let go. Please, I beg you to let go. Every last one of y'all, because it's 100 million saying the same story. And know that your words are your spells. And the more you confide your eyes in the people to tell your stories, you are setting that energy that comes from the solar plex right out to someone else. This is why the stories are in the eyes. I can see if you truly pain right here. And that experience is only really once. So when it happened the first time, the shock of that experience, it has to be replicated. So the eyes have to fake it in order for you to feel it again because you ain't going through it twice. You are remembering it twice. So the first time you got hit with that experience, it hurt. Yeah, it did. But this what you learn. So I watch certain people really tell stories twice. I watch them. Because I want to know if you telling me this again because you need attention or you telling me this again because you're really hurt. See, we got to slice this up because this is what's spreading around the world. This is what's music. This is what's TV. This is what's the way. This is what's funny to the children. This is what's conversations in the back rooms. This is what's delegating agenda between family and schoolyards and jobs. This is what's cute when people got more and other got less. It's sickening. Let's get some attention. Oh, only thing they're going to do is this. The subsequent value to manipulation is understanding how you're being manipulated and what's the value, what's being created out of this manipulation. And if it's because you think you implemented something, I can't give you that. Who are you to think I can give you the audacity to apologize to me? You ain't did nothing. You just showed me what you was. You have a mind. Use it. Stop giving yourself to people. You give your mind away like you having sex. Stop giving yourself to people. in all aspects. Think about how you play. You strong, right? You tough, right? So be that in all ways, not just in the physical. Think. Ask yourself why you about to tell Sarah what happened with you and John last week. Ask yourself why is you running over here to your grandma's house to discuss what's going on with you and your husband. Ask yourself why is you going outside to the neighbor house to tell her how effed up your kid is when that's your kid. See, it's a lot of different pathways that entail the value of how we destroy ourselves because you are particularly carrying negative energy that manifested from your traumas. You don't even know how to respect or love yourself, so you ain't gonna never respect and love what you create. You're sending them down the detriment road. You are creating things just to hate them later because you never loved yourself. And that's whose fault? Oh, now we can go to the memories, right? Now we can say, oh, I went through this and I went through. You a sucker. You a sucker. I'm sorry, I don't got no remorse because you know why? I beat those emotions up. Yeah, I feel them. I analyze them and I look at them and I readjust them. Because if you love me, you wouldn't hurt me. I ain't got to re-question that. Your intention spoke to it. I don't need no answers. Figure out, dissect what? Your intention to your value explain the characteristic. I don't need no answers. Get all the smoke. If you ain't gonna stand for you, ain't nobody gonna stand for you. If you ain't gonna fight for yours, who gonna fight for yours? If ain't nobody gonna love yours unconditionally, who gonna love yours unconditionally? You expect somebody to do for you what you won't do for your damn self and yours, and then you gonna tell and preach to your children to go out and do something different. Nah, the energy line already broke up. You ain't never accomplished that, ever. Your body makeup don't have the energy cells to understand that comprehension. So you screaming this into your child's face because you see it in the world, you ain't doing nothing but hurting them. Because you don't know ish. You don't work it. You don't do it. It's not a part of your everyday regimen. But I tell you what is, time traveling back to the day Leroy knocked the hell out of your ass. Going back last week when Shaniqua did you dirty with Steven. Going back when you was in jail with homeboy and thought you could trust him and he ain't your homeboy like that. Every single made up ish problem that you want to come into existence and point the finger because it still got an involvement in you. I can't have yin and yang without two sides. And the two sides got to be balanced, whether they're good or evil. They both two sides of the same coin. So no, I can't be on good or evil side. To choose one side places me on the teeter-totter. So I got to work this ish out in the middle. That means I got to go back to source and say, I ain't come in with none of this. I'm sorry that they done lost their mind and they feel like they want to inflict people with certain ways of thinking and motion. That's your problem. I don't have to be involved in that. I don't have to let those things affect me, even if the need of the whole, if even, and my needs is great as an individual. Great right now. Be like, are you crazy? Yeah, it's real. But you know what? You'll never catch me looking or sounding or feeling that way. Because after everything else was always done in my life, no matter what, whether I was beat to crap, whether I was stabbed in the face, left on a hospital bed, anywhere I was in some situation, nobody was there but divine. I never had a family member reach over me and say, I got you. Never in a physical situation. Whether I'm sick or in trouble, never. I've always stood on my own. And that is a fact. Divine has always been with me. So everything that I know is because Divine said, let it go, son. I'm going to show you a better light. And this is me growing through the ranks, growing through the rights of my own characteristic. I knew when I was a young man, you can't walk around the world thinking like this. People ain't going to accept you. They scared. When a person in another place don't know you where you come from, they naturally don't know how to deal with you. They meet you and they accept you because of whoever brought you around. They don't know the traumas you're dealing with. And as soon as you might get drunk, eat too much, feel too comfortable, you know what come out? Your traumas. Automatically, like, yo, are they all right? People do that real fast. Yo, is everything okay? What's going on? Because they don't know. That's in your head. So you got to be mindful of holding on to these different particular things that take place in your life. You're not just infringing on life of your own or your personal space. You're infringing on everybody else because nobody don't know what you're going through or how you handle that. So you got to come out with your best shirt on. You got to come out with your best jacket on. You got to come out with your best makeup on. You dig what I'm saying? That means you got to fix that. Got the creases in the jeans. You got to fix that. And you got to get it together. That's what my aunt used to say all the time. Get it together. Some New York shit. You're like, get it together. You got to get it together. You already know the vibes. Love yourself. And you got to love yourself past what you believe is this reality. You got to love yourself deeper than what you think you need to be loved. And this is a fact. Try it out. What do you get to lose by nourishment? How do you lose by nourishing yourself? How do you lose? I don't understand. Like I'm confused sometimes. People are fueled by doing wrong. It speaks to a value, and I said this yesterday in one of my live streams. I was like, well, since we deal in contrast, you can see the ultimate waves, especially when they're going out. You did so much negative in your life, so you're taking that with you. So when you come back, you got to be like this. You'll come back being all positive all the time. They'll be like, why are they always happy? I don't know. I don't like them. They're always happy. They always tapping in. Yeah, you're going to have to deal with it anyway. So if you don't get it right now, you'll come back. You'll come back. You know what I'm saying? But yo, let it go. Don't hold on nothing. Love yourself and make sure you give your kids that same outlook because they looking up to you. So be mindful of how you handle. And I think I'm really on this topic right now because I just seen this clip of these two women fighting in the store. Right? They was fighting in a grocery store, and they was hard down fighting. I mean, like the conditioner fell and it spilled out. The whatever was on the other side fell. Right? And the lady was like, told her son, the little boy was like 4 or 5. I was heartbroken. She was like, hit her. And he was like he was trying to be on his mom's side, but he ain't know what to do. Like he's standing there like, you know what I'm saying? He's so little. And I'm like, why would you tell your son to hit a lady? It's two women straight fighting, right? So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, so the little boy trying to get the shot in, and the lady, she jump up because she ain't want the little boy to hit. I guess she thought it was a bigger boy or whatever. She realized it was like he like at your knees. So they kept fighting. And the little boy was hitting the lady, but you know, his little hits ain't hurt. He trying to kick the lady. Get off my mommy. Get off my mommy. I'm like, you know, lady, you got your son in the grocery store. You fighting. People are recording you. Y'all in the aisle. Y'all done tore up the whole aisle. They got shampoo and conditioner everywhere. It's shaving cream, shaving razors falling down there. You know, people coming in and out the aisle, and they just letting them fight. I'm like, this the world we live in today. This the world we live in today. You don't give a crap about what you show to your children. You don't give a crap about what you do in society. You have no regard or no manners for yourself while you in society. Like that's not a thought pattern. Like people don't say you have to be decent in society first before you go in society. Like that is a reality. It's always been a reality. Check yourself while you out here. Don't act like you at your house in the streets. So when you see this go this far, you know people got issues. You holding on to some deep ish because you would do that. You would do that and don't care. And you probably one of these people out here who are on TikTok and they're like, "Yeah, I don't care. I don't give a ish. I do whatever. Whatever." It's weird. It's really weird. Like you can have some of the most craziest conversations. But me personally, I fight against everything I've ever been through. And I've got to the point to where sometimes I talk people like, ain't no way he's went through anything. You have no clue. I got battle scars for real, bullet holes. You know what I'm saying? Tendon removals, s- skull chunks. Yeah, it's a fact. Burn marks, big ones. Still to this day. But to be in that mentality because I went through those things, I can never do that. I want to be happy too much. I want to have love. I want to see prosperity. I want to be able to help. I want to see smiles and watch people learn the power of seeing someone get it, whether it's a mathematical problem, whether they fix a situation, and that power just seeing success. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. You get energy back from that, especially when you're able to help. Divine blesses that tenfold because you actually stepped in to help the flow. Before the word, it was the water, baby. You ain't know. That's why the water real. That's why the water real. You can sink or swim. Go ask somebody who really know the truth. They'll tell you before the word it was the water. And you know why? Because the word is electric. So when that word was spoken, the electricity went into the water and created life. I said so. I wrote some bars, yo. I wrote some bars. I was like, and I ain't even got that Wu-Tang beat right now. I ain't about to give it to y'all. I'm gonna give it to y'all soon though. I'm gonna give it to you soon. I'm gonna do it how I do the other joints. This joint is fire, yo. Like I was like, woo. While I was writing it, I was getting goosebumps. I was like, yo, this ain't my pen right here. This divine speaking. Oh my God. Like it was just coming through. Like, yeah, I'm talking in this joint right here. Like I'll be talking in the other joints, but this one gonna be different. I gotta do another page for some reason. I feel it. But it came out like like this morning, like the pen was liquid. Yo, I ain't even had to try. I'm like, woo. Ooh, it's not the God mathematics. Ooh, it just started coming off. I can't give y'all nothing right now because I'm gonna be like, come on, come on. You already know the vibes, man. I love y'all. I hope you love yourself. Think about the things I've been telling you today, man. I know trauma's gonna happen, and sometimes letting go of people and letting go of certain things because they traumatic in your life is hard, depending on where you at in your circumstance. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that we all going through it. But first and foremost, what you got to do is you got to know this within yourself. You got to know you got to do this in yourself. You have to start realizing that you have to do this with yourself. When you start it with yourself, all the other dominoes gonna fall behind it. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna see a real big difference. But you gotta love yourself so then when you really get what you need, that to love you back, that love be real good. Be real good. Because now you finally know how to love you. So when you get that love that you know you got for you, and you finally learn how to love yourself, and then you can drink a cup of love that somebody trying to give you, knowing that you love yourself, you ain't never had no thirst quenching like that. Yeah, we all waiting for it. Divine told me it was the best. Naga.